Hi. There aren't many people I can call Renaissance men or women. And this next guest fits that bill. He's a writer, a novelist, a journalist, a script writer, a plumber, you name it. Danny Wallace, one of my good friends. And he's going to be here. And so much information and good stuff that you're going to throw up. No, you're not going to throw up. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. So listen up, and here he is.
TalkBox. It's Fulcher. Rich Fulcher's TalkBox.
I'm in a bunker.
So what brings you into London? You don't have to tell me.
Are we started?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I had some meetings with some people. When you have a meeting. I've had those meetings where it's a general meeting and you go in and it turns out the meeting is about how you should one day have a meeting.
Do you give good meeting?
Oh my goodness.
I think you do.
Yeah, they call me Mr. Meeting.
No, but you're a little bit shy about this, but you're really good in that situation, like pitching and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm not bad at it.
Picture this.
That's how you start. I start everything with ladles and jelly spoons because that breaks the ice. And eventually, when they've stopped laughing after maybe 10 or 15 minutes, I say
ladles and jelly spoons and eggs with cups.
That's exactly it. You got it.
So you had a couple of meetings. And you think it was fruitful or?
No, I doubt it. But it was nice because it meant I had an excuse to come here into your bunker.
Oh, yes. We're going to start calling it the bunker now. And what do you find the state of the industry right now? It's pretty bad right now, isn't it?
Yes, it's not all laughs, is it?
No.
It feels like a lot of stuff has kind of crumbled.
Is that why we need a hug?
Yeah.
This is a therapy session for the industry.
It's a safe space though, isn't it?
Yeah, but I feel like it's really after the strike, I thought it was going to come back, but it didn't.
Yeah, and there's all sorts of other things, isn't there?
Tariffs.
Tariffs, AI. I like the way we can say tariffs because it instantly makes this very, very top.
I like the way you said it. Tariffs.
Yeah. I wasn't really aware of tariffs before everyone started saying tariffs.
I didn't know what they were.
Now I know about tariffs.
But the thing about you is you'll be able to withstand now don't take this as an offense.
It sounds like
but you're like a cockroach in that you will survive anything because you write, you produce,
you
dance,
yeah,
you do
puppetry, yeah, a lot of that. Well, it's always been like, I don't know, I do a lot of different things because sometimes something goes quiet. And then it's nice that you can sort of spin the office chair and focus on that for a bit.
Yeah.
But also, I always just want to do stuff, And the only way to do stuff is to actually do stuff. So I feel guilty if I'm not working.
I like that.
Yeah. It's simple, isn't it?
If I feel guilty, but then I have trouble actually doing the thing.
You procrastinate.
Because because I feel like writing a book, which you've done several times, is the ultimate thing. In terms of discipline and being able to do this on your own.
Yeah, it's quite good though because it takes up a lot of time. So it feels like you're always working. Even if it takes months and months and months and months and months. It still
Honey, I'll be right back.
Exactly. But there still leaves time for playing video games, which I've managed to convince my wife.
Kenny.
Part of my process, Kenny. That's what I say. And so if she catches me playing Call of Duty, I'm like, well, I'm just developing an idea at the moment.
Do you like Call of Duty?
I do like Call of Duty.
Ooh, nice.
Do you like Call of Duty?
I don't. Play it. Because of my kids. They're not old enough to play that.
Oh, no, of course not. Yes. I've made some terrible parenting decisions.
No, wait. Does yours?
Well,
does Elliot?
He would be allowed to. We turn off the blood.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Oh, you can?
You can.
Can you make it gray?
No. What, the blood itself?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be nice. Is that better?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think it just removes a lot of the.
It's a little cloud.
Yeah, it's sort of cute.
Oh, well, you know what? Maybe they should play Call of. Maybe they should man up and play Call of Duty.
That can't be the lesson I've brought to you. That can't be the takeaway from
we
today.
need lessons.
That children should play ultraviolet games. I don't think so.
No, but of course you have distractions, but you keep your eye on the prize.
Yeah, it's almost like a sense of Catholic guilt, except I'm not Catholic. It's like this thing that weighs down on me if I'm not doing something. I don't get down very much, but if I do feel down, it tends to be because I'm feeling like I should be creating something, doing something.
Where does this guilt come from?
My mother. No, it didn't. No, not at all. I don't know. Is it?
Where does the guilt come from?
I don't know where the guilt comes from. It's like a low-level anxiety if I'm not doing.
But were you like this when you were young? Like, I don't have any homework. I shouldn't be playing right now.
Never anything useful like homework or schoolwork. It was that I wanted to make things. So, like when I was a teenager, back to video games. We could do work experience at school, and I managed to get some work experience by writing to a video games magazine and saying, "Can I come in?" And they let me, and I loved it because they were making a project, making a magazine, putting it together. And then I fell out of love with the games, but I loved the putting the magazine together and the writing.
So wait, you were reading this magazine. You go, I want to write for this.
I was in the bath. I had a headache. And I took
too much information here.
And I took my like £3 pocket money and I went to the newsagent, and I couldn't afford a game, obviously. But I could afford a magazine. And so I bought this magazine called Sega Power, and I'm reading it in the bath. And I see these lads who are just like having the time of their lives, playing games and making magazines. And I recognized the building that they were in front of. And I thought, I think that's where I live, not my actual house. But like
that's me.
Town. Yeah. And so
I'm in the bath.
And it turned out they were down the road. So I got to go there and meet these guys who were all about. They seemed like massive grown-ups to me. But
wait, so you just knocked on the door?
I wrote a polite letter to a man called Andy.
How cool is that? As a 13-year-old?
Yeah, 13, 14, something like that, 13 maybe.
I wouldn't have the cojones to do that at 13.
Well,
maybe 14.
Yeah. It was nice. And they let me come in. And then I saw this group of people with a purpose having fun. And I think that informed me of the idea that you can have fun while working. You can do something that's fun. That old thing of if you find a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life was writ large in that office. And so
but to find that out so young.
Yeah, well, I was impatient. I wanted to crack on and do stuff.
I was always taught pain is pleasure in terms of work.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you were a lawyer to start with.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole. So did you, when I
was thinking about when I first met you, and you were an entertainment lawyer, weren't you? And you were doing a show in Edinburgh called Mom, I'm Not a Lawyer.
Yes, that's right.
Which was your story about how your mum still thought you were a lawyer.
And I would have a friend that was a temp.
Yeah.
And I would say, I would give her a number to my mom. And she would answer it as if it were at the law firm.
That's great. You couldn't just pretend you were someone else.
No, I couldn't be that easy.
No.
Yeah.
But so you know, I mean, that must have been a very hard job. You decided to leave immediately.
Yeah. Well, you know what? In hindsight, I put pressure on myself.
Right.
Whereas I probably could have come out a little earlier.
Uh-huh.
But I just didn't feel ready in front of my parents.
No.
But this isn't about me, Danny.
It is
you
sort of.
twisted it around.
Yeah, I know.
But so in the meeting, did you actually say I'd like a job?
Well, in the one at the video games?
The video
magazine?
games.
No, I just made myself very, very useful. I tried to be indispensable by doing things that didn't need to be done. People might have 4 cups of tea in front of them, and I would go and make them a 5th. And I just tried to get on with them, and I loved what they were doing. And I was probably, in hindsight, a bit annoying because I was this kind of presence. In the office.
You were annoying.
Yeah.
We have some people from your past come in.
Hello. But because I didn't have a desk, right? So if I wasn't doing all the rubbish jobs like writing the captions or capturing the pictures of the video games, which is the bit that everyone hated doing, but I
those are fun.
I would just sort of stand near someone's desk, just in silence until they engaged me in conversation. So, yeah, probably a bit annoying.
So now, Because of this job, did you want to go into like journalism or magazine work? Or
Yeah, I could have stayed at that company, and we ended up launching a magazine, and we were all into comedy. I'd brought some tapes in, and it had
comedy.
spread, and we decided to do a comedy magazine. And it didn't go very well.
What was it called?
Comedy Review.
Okay, check that out,
Check
guys.
it out, from 1995.
Kenny,
or
put it up.
6.
Sometimes in the
Ah.
we flash things up.
Good work.
Yeah.
Well, I loved writing for it, and I loved comedy, and so I wrote most of the magazine because I was just super keen, and was just writing. And
You know what me and Joey Pino used to do?
no,
We do captions like in our history books.
yes,
Like a guy would be on the horse. It's like, my horse is constipated. And we would just laugh.
yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
You were sort of creating your own magazine then.
In a way,
In a
but
way.
we were lazy.
Early potential. So I just wanted to sort of do stuff, and then when the magazine folded, they put me on a PC magazine, not politically correct, personal computer, and I didn't know anything about that. And it came to it, and I went for an interview at a university in London, which promised the world, because it was like, you can come here and you can learn how to make things. So your
Right.
ideas that you're having, you can make.
Oh, that's
here.
cool.
Yeah. And so they offered me a place verbally. And then I went away expecting to move to London. And then they wrote me a letter and told me they'd rejected me. So suddenly I was like, well, do I
Dicks.
stay with the magazines? Which is, they're all telling me to stay.
Wait, how old were you now?
18.
Okay.
So
Check it whether it was 18 or 17.
Check that. So I wrote back to the university, and I told them I did not accept.
Good
their
for
decision.
you.
Yeah.
I'm not fired. I quit.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
no, I didn't even do that. I just said I don't accept that because the grades are good enough. I'm doing stuff already. I think you should rethink this.
Wow.
And so they phoned me up and they went, "All right, come in."
Because of the way you said it?
I
Do you
think,
think?
they couldn't find a good argument against letting me in.
Wow.
So they let me in, and it was great because then I did get to make all those things. Again, I didn't have the guilt about the essays or the coursework. I just wanted to use the equipment and have some ideas and make a project.
See, those are always successful people that they don't care about certain subjects. They just focus on what they like.
on the thing that they want to do.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even to
Oh,
do anything or be anything. It was just that I wanted to just make something, do it, and feel proud of it.
can we do a Freaky Friday and just switch one day? That would be
No,
really
no,
cool.
no,
I
no.
would. Why?
Well, a variety of reasons.
Okay. Thanks everybody for coming. So sorry to be chronological here, but so you went to school, you finished school?
Like university school.
Yeah, you finished that.
So I finished up, and what I'd done at university was I kept writing for some of the magazines because I didn't want to work in the student bar.
Yeah.
But because a lot of these magazines were based outside of London, I was quite useful because they didn't have to get on a train, I could just go and do stuff. So I kept working for the mags, and then I tried to work for some other ones in London.
So
which I
right
did.
now it's just mags.
Mags, and papers.
Oh, by the way, I was listening to an interview with Terry Gilliam.
oh yeah.
And he was with an art magazine, and he turned it into a comedy magazine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We should have turned our comedy magazine into a comedy magazine, but it was quite serious.
He quote you on that?
Yes, please.
That's really good.
So we did a bunch of stuff, and then I got asked to, because one of the things I tried to do, again trying to make myself useful, I'd been to see Lee Evans. He did a secret gig
Oh, yeah.
at the Comedy Store. No one knew he was turning up. I'd been tipped off, and I got to interview him afterwards.
Were you a fan of his?
Yeah, at that stage you had all the guys who were like the Addison Cresswell, that
Yeah.
manager who made everyone dress in suits. So they were all like the serious comedians, the Jack Deeds. Yeah, exactly. And the way they'd walk on at the start of their videos, in the dressing room, always the same stuff, getting together. Please welcome.
Lee Evans was a boxer.
He was a boxer,
Yeah.
wasn't he? He
Yeah.
was quite wiry
I mean, he's still around.
and very sweaty. He was very sweaty that night. I remember getting splashed across the face by his sweat.
Wait, so
It was
you
a
were
visceral
splashed.
in a highly erotic situation.
So this is wild because you had this just random introduction to these guys.
Yeah, in a sense. But I've still got the dictaphone of the secret recording I made. of the gig. So it's a little tiny like micro cassette. I haven't listened to it since.
Had
I
you
wrote the
ever
interview.
been? You'd been to see stand up.
Oh yeah, I used to
Yeah.
go. I used to go every Wednesday night to this club in Bath, and drag my friends along to see whoever was in town.
Oh, not comedy again, Danny.
Pretty much,
Yes.
yeah. They were like that. But I was like, this guy, Rich Hall, he's an American guy, and they based that character from The Simpsons on him. And they'd be like, all right,
I just saw him the other night.
you did,
Yeah.
He's great. He's always been great. But it was so weird seeing him walk down the streets of Bath and then go and do this little gig.
Yeah.
In a nightclub called Cadillacs, which was renamed the Fez for one night a week.
Cadillacs,
and that was
welcome
another
to Cadillacs.
Another very important.
Currently
place.
the Fez.
Yeah, exactly. So I was well into comedy and all that, and so when I could get to London, I'd go maybe to the Comedy Store or something. But the point was, I had lots of extra material from my chat with Lee Evans afterwards.
Yeah.
And so I emailed or phoned probably Melody Maker music magazine. I was like, listen, you sometimes run comedy stuff. I got a load of material here.
Wow.
Lee Evans. And they went, all right, you can work for us.
That is so good.
It was good because that then led to me judging on the Perrier Awards because they had lots and lots of people who were like in their 40s.
They wanted
or 50s.
young people to be represented.
They wanted young people and they wanted Melody Maker.
Who was up that year that you did it?
Who was up for the award was, it was the year Al Murray won. And it was Al Murray, The League Against Tedium, Simon Munnery.
Oh, yeah. Early 90s?
Yeah, 92.
I'm just guessing.
I think it might have been
Flash it up, Kenny.
95, maybe? I'm not sure.
Okay.
6?
Because my
7?
first one was 94.
94, was it?
No, but it wasn't with the Boosh.
No,
it was
no.
with something else, yeah.
Before Mom, I'm Not a Lawyer.
Yes.
Oh, right. I didn't realize.
I've been 9 times.
Have you?
Yeah. It's not funny, Kenny. You were laughing. What's so funny about the number 9? Have you been with the show?
Have I been with a show?
With the show?
Not of my own. I've written on stuff and helped.
Oh,
direct
okay,
stuff.
with Dave's. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so when I'm at this, when I'm judging this thing, and it was very, very close. There was always this controversy. People thought Avalon had bribed some 10 independent judges.
Was there any hanky-panky
There was
going
no
on?
hanky-panky.
Come on.
In fact, it came down to the wire with this thing, and we didn't know who had won. The judges don't know until the night.
So you vote like it's like a papal conclave.
Yeah, you have a fancy meal, and you've been meeting
Perrier
up.
comes out the chimney.
You might as
when
well
they've
have.
elected.
Yes, exactly. And then you do your final vote, and it's all sealed and put away, along with all our notes, so that can be in case there's
Destroyed.
Yeah, I have no idea why they take your notes.
Crap.
And then it's announced on the night, and you find out. And I thought Simon Munnery was going to win. From the way everyone was talking, but it was Al with a very good show.
Yes.
But one of the other judges around the table was.
But they were both with Avalon.
They were both with Avalon. They were. Yes, they were.
So hence the conspiracy theory that they're.
Yeah, and there was something about I can't remember what it was. There was some issue with crowd sizes, or I don't know what it was. But anyway, it was nonsense. And and I say that as someone who's written a book about conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
So I can identify them. But one of the other judges was a guy whose job title was editor, BBC Radio. And at that stage, I assumed, having been taught editing, that he edited.
Mm-hmm.
But it turned out he was in charge, the brand new boss of this BBC Radio comedy. And I, by chance,
schmoozed.
It was 99. That's why I know, because I had just applied for a radio traineeship, and I didn't realize that he was the guy who was going to be reading.
I missed that year.
Yeah, well, you weren't there.
I didn't go.
Well, you'd have won the Perrier if you had.
No.
I'd have made sure of it.
Damn it.
And anyway, when I found out that I'd basically applied for a job with him, we'd been getting on, but I avoided him.
Oh, you didn't talk to him?
After that, because I didn't want him to think I was just being nice to him. And then one of the last nights of the festival, he phoned me up and he was like, so I'm just going through these applications.
You fucking asshole.
Yeah. Anyway, I got the gig. So I became
right then and there?
No, not then and there. I had to do the interview. It didn't hurt.
Yeah. What if he goes, by the way, who did you vote for? He goes,
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. Sometimes you had to be careful because I sent everyone to see this certain comedian that I thought had done really, really well. And one of his first
Rich
words
Fulcher.
is, you weren't there that year, thank God. And he just went, I have no idea why I was sent to see this. And I was like, oh, God, I might have just blown my radio application.
See, this is my theory about why comedy is the first to go
Yeah.
with, shows when they're cutting departments.
Yes.
Because people can never have a consensus about comedy shows.
Well, yeah.
They could all watch Bridgerton, all the executives. They'll watch Bridgerton and go, this is great,
Yeah.
Bridgerton. But then they'll watch any show, just take any Fleabag.
Yeah.
Half of them might not like it.
Yeah.
Half of them will love it.
Yeah.
And you don't want to go out on a limb and say, I love it.
No. Can I tell you how many people across 2 continents I've met who claim to have discovered Fleabag?
Yeah.
It's more than on one hand.
Well, I think there's a
and
thing
they introduce
in the
themselves
US.
that way. They go, I actually discovered Fleabag.
Yeah.
Like the other 5 people I've met this week.
I know. When I came to
What
the
you mean
US.
what you mean is you saw Fleabag,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
was a public performance.
There's a lot of people that think they have like the ins of British comedy.
Yeah, yeah.
And which is great because I met somebody, I was doing like some voiceover work, and this guy kept going to me. He goes, you gotta watch Bottom. You gotta watch. And he had these VHSs that he
Amazing.
gave me
Yeah.
just to show that.
And you have to pretend like you've never heard of it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give it a go. I suppose.
Bottom, I
Yeah,
guess.
Rick
It's
and
not the top.
Aid.
So this is great. This is 99.
1999.
And then something happened in the year 2000, which brought us together.
Yes, the Mighty Boosh radio show.
Brought
which,
it around.
Brought it around. You did so well.
What
there.
did Trump say? It's like you're...
well, yeah, he said so
when you
much.
bring the wave.
The weave.
The weave.
The weave.
Damn it.
Good God, you
The
weaved.
weave.
I've never seen anyone weave like it. No, the weave, yeah. So well, the guy that I was talking about, the editor, he was so key in that happening because Radio 4, you'll be pleased to know, when we pitched the Boosh as a radio show, I think their exact words were, the Mighty Boosh are 1 million miles away from what we want here on Radio 4. That was the phrase. It wasn't a good phrase to hear in a meeting.
Yeah.
It
Were you
painted
with the
things-
boys in the meeting or
God,
just
no.
you?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
it was John Pigeon.
And had he seen the stage?
Oh, no, Pigeon loved it, right?
Okay.
And he really wanted it.
Yeah.
And so he worked some magic and managed to find some money.
Oh, boy.
Not very much money. About as much as you might take to a newsagent on a Sunday morning to buy some fizzy pop and some crisps.
Right. So
That was the budget that they had to work with. And it was put on first, not on Radio 4, but on local radio, on BBC London. And they put it on. This is the Mighty Boosh. They put it on. You were back in America by the time it went out. They put it on.
Yes, I know.
At midday on a Saturday between the sport. So you had like people talking about football and stuff.
Which it's a similar,
Yeah.
And
And then they take a half-hour break for the whimsical adventures of 2 zookeepers, at which point there are white vans blowing up with men.
Yeah.
Furious.
Porpoise races.
Yeah. Just going, what the hell is it? And then back to the sport. So, and it was just a way of getting it broadcast because once it had been broadcast once, it could be repeated on Radio 4 for free.
Yes.
Meaning they got a free show. And then when it went out,
It
people
took
started
off.
to discover it.
Yes.
And then they really changed their
I
tune.
told you, Kenny.
Yeah. So they changed their tune, and then suddenly, that was. That
Were
was
you
that.
surprised?
No,
No?
not surprised by people liking it.
Yeah.
I was
You-
surprised. I was surprised more people didn't hate it. But
Right.
I wasn't surprised that loads of people found it and loved it because it was for a whole new. The problem with Radio 4 tends to be that every year it sort of gets closer to dying out because it loses through nature a lot of its listeners because it tends to be an older station.
Oh, yeah. They're
so
dying.
unless it makes new stuff,
You can
for-
say dying,
they were
Danny.
dying.
Yeah.
All the people that heard the Boosh and hated it are now dead. So
What?
that's another victory for you.
But a lot of kids are... Never mind.
They're revisiting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is great. And my kids love it.
Really?
Yeah.
My
At one
kids
point,
are
my
having
son
a.
started speaking like Vince Noir, which was
My kids are having another view. They had a wave when they were really young,
of
where they watched the Boosh, and then now they're really understanding all the jokes.
yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah, the wave is good when you can come back.
Unfortunately,
Yes, yeah. There's that as well.
What's a pocket cop? No.
Yes. Oh my god, I just remember having to ride the levels because we had very simple equipment to
Oh
record it all with,
yes.
and you got sort of the boys kind of muttering, and then I had a special one just for you,
Right.
which I would sort of have to keep around 2 or 3 rather than 8 or 9, just to cope with the level, the volume, and the unexpected outbursts.
If I was a professional, I would have gone to you and say, Danny, I am going to be yelling during this. So
No, there was none of that.
I did not give you any.
Oh God,
warning.
no.
Yeah.
No, there was no warning. But it was good. It taught me to think on my feet.
Yeah. But when we were doing that taping in that build, it was in Shoreditch, right?
Yeah, it was in like, what was it? In like a disused disco or something.
Yeah, and there was a fax bombing. It's the days when they would
spam. It was a spam
Yes.
factory.
It was the faxes were going day and night
Constantly. And like I remember like 3 very sleepy young men whose job it was just to hit random numbers and send spam faxes all around America.
They would open the door like this. Oh, it's you.
Yeah,
and then they'd walk away.
There was always the feeling we could be raided at any moment.
Yeah.
There was a dog that would walk around called Fox.
Yeah.
No, Red. Called Red. He looked like a fox. And sometimes if you listen very closely, you can hear him barking in the background of various scenes of the Boosh. But because it was set in a zoo, everyone thought we were really clever by adding unexpected sound effects.
That's like when they recorded Roller Coaster by Ohio Players. You can hear somebody being stabbed outside the studio.
Well,
that's the,
here's our nice
conspiracy.
version.
Yeah.
And there was an American model who used to just go around on roller skates. Do you
Heather
remember her?
Graham.
Yeah. I seem to be the only one who remembers this woman.
What do you mean?
Well, literally what
What you talking about?
Yeah. We're just talking about Wallace. It was a lady on roller skates who would appear, unless I'm seeing a ghost, God knows.
No. Appear on what?
Just all on the floor. And then she'd roll around and sometimes interact with us. It was a ghost.
There was a time in the U.S. when that was commonplace, like at the
Okay.
burger joints.
Right.
You'd drive up, like A&W root beer
Right.
was a big one. And then people would roller skate, women,
Yes.
and with a tray.
Well, maybe she was lost. I don't know. But she was there as far as I know. And then when we finished recording in one room a bit like this, except this has got much better soundproofing, we had to use velvet and stuffed animals. We moved to the men's toilets. And that's where I remember, and this will sound wrong, but I remember being on my knees in front of you in the men's toilets, playing with knobs.
That sounded right.
Trying to contain your volume.
Oh,
Everything sounds wrong.
you were cursing at the moment, like, damn it.
No, I was just
I
pleased.
had it perfect.
I was pleased to be there.
I remember the green curtains.
Mhm.
Yeah, the makeshift insulation or whatever.
Yeah, at one point the BBC wanted to come and see the setup.
Oh,
And I
no.
was like, no, it's all right. We're actually a bit busy right now.
So a lot of your producing work was keeping the BBC away.
Yeah, I had to do a lot of that. But I had the trust of John Pigeon. I keep pointing like he's there. But
John.
I've decided that's where he sits at the Perrier table, so he's still there. And he trusted that everything was fine. But I was like, yeah, Noel used to describe me as the sort of the Trojan horse
Yeah.
to get you in the BBC.
But now I'm actually not quite sure about this, but when the radio show and then it got, to a TV show,
Yes.
were you involved during the TV process at all?
No, because and Julian was very nice and was like asking if I wanted to come with them.
Well, as well he should.
Well, it was very nice, but
Yeah.
the thing was,
Noel was against it.
yeah, I could never have at that stage of my career. I could never have produced the Mighty Boosh on television. It would have been an absolute nightmare and a joke. And Steve Coogan wanted to make it, and I was like, "Well, Steve Coogan wants to make it. You should probably make it with Steve Coogan." And
Even though he was unknown at the time.
well.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
But
Steve.
the rest is history. But what I found really gratifying about the whole thing was remembering the sort of, I mean, I'd seen you guys in a room above a pub, um, doing your thing to about 20, 30 people. And then I had seen, Edinburgh, and then I had been
You
involved in
went through all the yeah.
big radio thing with you guys. And then, 2 years later, I'm at Brixton Academy, where I look down and there are thousands of people who are dressed like you all. And there's going to be a little party, and I go out the back exit, the stage door or whatever, and I hear, "Right!" And then everyone sees it's me, and they were this close to booing because I wasn't one of the Boosh.
Oh my God.
But that to me was brilliant, because the anticipation for you guys to show yourselves showed that something really special had been born.
Well, I'll tell you when the real moment for me was when the first season had aired, and then we went on a tour.
Uh-huh.
And so we had never really seen any sort of mass reaction. So we were playing York for the first time, and we walk out and everybody's just going nuts.
Yes.
And we go, wow, we may be on to something.
And it must have been all the more special because there wasn't really, there was no social media. So you weren't getting immediate feedback from people. And the first show goes out. It's like when you make a radio show, you've always got, or a book or anything like that, you've always got control of it because you've got the only copy.
Yes.
And you can still make tweaks. And if there's something you don't like, you can change it. And then one day you press send or whatever, and it's suddenly being broadcast. And you can't change anything. You can't stop it. You can't tweak it.
Actually remember because you couldn't record anything, like, unless you had a camera, you couldn't record backstage or anything.
Yeah.
And I remember getting one of these flip video things, thinking it was so cool. And it came out, like, I think a year before phones started recording.
Yeah.
But to think that you couldn't even do now, it'd be totally different.
No. And for you guys, with that first TV show in particular going out, there was no instant reaction, right? People saw it, but you had to wait till the next day to talk to your mates about it.
Yeah, yeah.
And you couldn't just go, oh my God, I just saw the Boosh, or I hate the Boosh, what the hell is this? There was nothing. That wasn't me. I was a bit quick there.
Playing
it's a new video game called Comedy Critique.
Take that, Lee Evans.
Exactly. So for you to walk out and see that writ large must have been very special.
Yeah. Now, back to you.
Okay.
Once you had finished doing the Boosh, it was kind of like square. I mean, I'm sure you had lots of ideas, but did you have anything specific that, I've done all these things. The natural thing to do is...
I left the BBC. I talked to Edge, and managed to. He sort of gave me some work, but it meant that I could leave because I'd always wanted to just crack on and do stuff, and I found that I was giving lots of ideas away. And I thought, what if I keep some of these ideas?
That's the thing, too.
Yeah.
There are some ideas I've talked to people about, like in my 20s, that I still feel like, I can't really do that.
Yeah. Well, why? Because?
Well, I don't know, because we were collaborative on the original idea.
Oh, you mean with someone, and so you can't, take it. Yeah, exactly. And
so why not do these things by yourself?
Yeah, why not just see what happens? Because I'd always been drawn to doing stand-up, like some pure stand-up, but I could never do it because I'd worked on a comedy magazine, and you need a year or two to be rubbish. But I'd been on a comedy magazine,
so they were all
people in comedy would know my, they knew my name, and so they'd be like, "Oh yeah, he thinks he can do it."
Wallace is trying comedy,
and then right after being a comedy producer, that would have been a great time to do it.
Yeah. But
I was a comedy producer, so they'd be like, "Oh yeah, he thinks." So I couldn't deal with that.
I know.
I felt embarrassed.
Yeah. So you would have to move.
I'd have to. Well, I did think about what if I just did like little.
Yeah, go to Hull or something
just
for
up
a
there.
year.
Yeah, exactly. But
you're like boxing training. You know?
But I was just too busy doing other things as well. But I managed to scratch the itch by doing some stuff like that.
Yeah,
either on radio or book tours.
Maybe you'll still do some.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I think that time's gone.
Let's cut to a commercial.
Oh.
We're back,
Oh, hello.
and we're
That's
here
great.
with Danny Wallace talking about his career after he
After I died.
no, no, after your time
Yes.
post Boosh.
Yes. Well, I started a cult.
Yes, so that was your first foray into doing some kind of a show idea.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, it was. I like to see what happens when you do things, and I've done that a lot on magazines where I tried to write a feature that was like a big idea.
Yeah.
See how far I could push something, and so I wanted to see what would happen if I asked.
This
people
is
to,
actually like one of the early, days of doing this sort of thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I had read earlier about this guy, George Plimpton.
Uh-huh.
He was a journalist, and he would always like do the things he would write about. Like he would become an NFL football player.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
And then he would play the triangle for the New York Philharmonic.
Yeah.
And then he'd write about it and stuff.
So
But-
like proper immersive
yes,
into the story.
but that's sort of like, I guess in journalism, it's like method acting. In a
Yeah.
way.
I mean, I would do things like, oh God, what is an example of? I mean, I did a lot of stupid stuff. I'm trying to think of one I haven't spoken about before.
Yeah. Make it original so it can be a news break.
Well, I remember pretending to be arranging the retirement party of Ron Silverballs Goodman, a stainless steel ball bearing magnate, and getting in touch with the managers of lots of different comedians to see whether they would play his retirement party,
Yeah.
how much it would cost,
That's
and what
great.
they'd be willing to do.
That is great. You know what this is a version of?
What?
This is not groundbreaking journalism. These are intellectual pranks.
Yeah, well, I like that idea. My childhood is basically littered with lots of different pranks.
Yeah.
I would try, and they'd be quite kind of.
I do pranks all the time.
I love pranks, Rich.
Oh, but mine usually wouldn't make sense.
Oh,
Like we would go up to, I don't know why we did this, but we went up to houses, me and my friend Joey, and we'd knock on the door and we'd say, "Is your son Irving home?" And then they'd usually go, "No, I don't have a son named Irving." It's like, "Oh, well, he was late for sex education class." And it's like, we didn't even care if it was the right name. We just wanted to say sex education.
That's what you want, an excuse to say it. How lovely. I mean, it's less a prank, more a surrealist happening.
Yeah.
It's kind of, but
Yeah.
but
yours made sense.
Well, the good thing about pranks, I always think, is if they're well intentioned or if they're sort of harmless.
Yeah.
The best thing.
No one dies.
No one dies. You can create a moment in someone else's life that they are going to tell someone about that night. Like this weird thing happened. These two little boys turned up and asked for Irving and said he was late for sex education. They're probably still talking about that. Do you remember when those two kids came around? Do you remember that?
I wanted to kill those guys.
Tell the Irving story. Lionel, tell the Irving story.
Tell that goddamn we're still looking for those guys.
So I used to like doing stuff like that, really, to do for that reason, or to prick someone's pomposity.
But that is kind of your trademark. Is like very magnanimous sort of tricksterism.
Yeah, hopefully well-meaning, hopefully optimistic.
Yeah.
But it has to just make me laugh. I just make, I'm an only child, and so I had to do things that made me laugh. Like I would, I remember, the end of the song Layla, when it goes from and it goes into do 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 do.
Oh yeah,
soft piano
dun,
music.
Dun, dun, dun,
So I like
dun,
I had a mate round.
dun, dun, dun,
Yeah,
dun.
beautiful, right? And it to
Well,
me,
we have to pay royalties for it.
to me, it said something. It was like, so I got the phone book out and I found an advert or Yellow Pages and found an advert for a garden centre.
Oh.
And I phoned the number and I said, "Hello there, how are you?" To the receptionist. She's like, "Yeah, I'm all right, yeah." And I said, Listen, I'm a freelance radio advertiser.
I'm a radish.
And I've been working on some new radio ad ideas for your garden centre. And she's like, what? And I was like, well, here's one. And then I'd play that music and I'd sort of read their advert out and just go, from landscaping to landscaping tools.
Yeah.
This family-run business since 1972 has everything you need. And you can hear her not wanting to interrupt me, not wanting to stop me, but also she's got a job to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And I appear to be a freelance lunatic.
She's in the throes of a dilemma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did she get rid of me? But she's, yeah. And I tried to sometimes do the worst phone pranks I could. So I've got tapes of me phoning up like the Football Association or something. Just going, hello, is that the Football Association? And then she's like, yeah. And I said, hello, I'm from the government. Just to let you know, we're cancelling all football. And she'd be like, what? And I go,
See, now
you got me. It was just a prank.
That's mean. No.
Well, she might have feared for her
That
livelihood.
doesn't fit within your brand. That was very
I think it's
mean.
that mean because the joke was on me ultimately, Rich.
We would do this one where we'd act out the scenario where you called like if, say, you're domestic abuse.
Yeah, oh, God.
It's terrible.
You
now.
probably shouldn't say whatever this is.
And then I'd go, so one of us would go, my dad has been hitting me. And then someone would pretend to be the dad and come up, what are you doing?
Oh, God,
Who are
no.
you talking on the phone
This is
with?
awful.
This is terrible.
Awful. Why haven't you been cancelled yet?
But the thing was, they were so attuned to the whole.
Yeah.
It's like, get off the phone.
Yeah.
It was almost like,
Yeah.
heard it before.
It's these guys again.
It was terrible looking back on it. But maybe we had to get it out of our system.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. And then grow to your new level of maturity
Yes.
in comedy.
Now, one of the things we do in the podcast,
Yes.
there is some structure to
Here
it,
we go.
is we play a game with the host, the hostess.
Yes.
No, the guest.
The guest. The guestess.
A segment called Fill in the Blank.
Lovely.
All right, so I read a sentence. Do I have it? Yes. I read a sentence, and you have to tell me.
What the blank is. Yeah. I think
Oh, shit. I lost it. Did I lose it?
that one's got lots of blanks in it.
Oh, okay. Shit. My favorite place to write is at the blank.
Now, are these supposed to be an actual psychological insight?
No, I
No.
mean, I've tailored them to you. I tailor them to each guest.
Okay. My favorite place to write.
Is at the blank.
Now, is it one word or is the blank multiple
It can
words?
be anything.
You need a format.
Oh, sorry.
My favorite place to write is, is at the cusp of golden hour.
5 o'clock?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the world looks amazing outside your window. The light is coming in. It feels like everyone else has stopped work, so I'm not going to get a phone
It's
call
quiet.
or an email,
Yeah.
but I have the promise of evening to come. So I like that.
Wow.
Pretty good.
Me, it's just quiet. Now, Blank is the best show on TV right now.
Blank is the best show on TV right now. What am I watching?
Yeah, blankety blank.
I'm enjoying the Studio, the Seth Rogen
Oh,
show.
I want to see that.
And I'm really enjoying Hacks.
Did you just turn on the Hacks?
No, we've been following it since it first.
It's good, isn't it?
It is good. It's good. And I like the character dynamics, but I also love these worlds. You know, for the longest time, there's been this bit of received wisdom within the world of TV commissioning, radio commissioning.
Gather round.
They say people aren't interested in shows that involve the media. Which
I know.
Which is the stupidest thing.
I've been told that in
It's something they've heard.
Yeah.
And it's patronizing to the viewer or listener. They couldn't possibly get their head around a world as special as one that makes TV shows.
Right.
Apart from W1A, apart from sort of the day-to-day, in a sense, you know.
Well, you know what they told me? They would say, our industry has a lot of technical terms that people won't understand. But yet, on medical shows and police shows,
Exactly.
they're always being very specific
Yeah.
with things we don't. We got a 1023 on North and Maine.
It's very
Like, what's North?
I think it's as well. People just don't want to get caught out. They don't want to be satirizing themselves, or they don't want people to realize they know nothing.
Yes.
So, for my favorite shows to be things like Larry Sanders, with which if you
That
bring the
was
technical
brilliant.
language to it as well,
Yeah.
it makes it authentic.
Yeah.
And you get the behind the scenes stuff and production meetings and all the rest of it, guest booking. These are all things people can get their heads around because they understand how shows are made.
Yeah, yeah.
And Hacks and the studio at the moment are these brilliant, shows that the Americans seem to think we can handle.
Yeah. Well, it's now the thing.
Yeah.
Because I know when Curb came out, everybody in any pitch session says, this is how it would start out. Well, it's a lot like Curb, only blank.
Yeah.
And then you fit in the different scenario. We're in a garden center.
They're still doing it, because I wrote a script recently, which I just wrote because I didn't.
Oh, sorry. It's called Blurb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah, exactly. But I got a lot of pushback because the main characters were both women. And they were like, well, I'm not sure, you're the best.
It's not going to work.
But I was like, but they're people, they're characters, they're people. And so this one company was like, we do like it, but we have a suggestion. And I was like, okay. And their suggestion was for one of the sisters to now be an older northern man. That's how they described it.
Oh, my God.
And they go on a road trip. There was no road trip in mine. And he's always getting grumpy at things.
But she's transitioning to a man.
Well, could be.
And that's yeah.
But I was like, that's not really what I'm writing. And they're like, but it could be a bit like Curb. And I was like, yeah, okay. But
they just throw it out there like, oh, it's just a little bit of Curb. It's
do
like,
a Curb.
That changes the whole.
Yeah.
Well,
never mind.
Yeah. So, there's a couple.
There's a couple more.
There's a couple more. I wish people would stop asking me about blank.
Where the National Gallery is.
Yeah, it's right next to you.
I spend a lot of time on Leicester Square, and I tend to be a beacon that stands out.
Oh, people want to ask you directions?
For some reason, I seem to be the most approachable man in Britain because it happens all the time.
That's another book.
From everywhere.
Yeah.
I can tell if there's a little rustling over here, someone has picked me out, and I'll ask that man there, and they ignore whoever I'm
with. A little
with.
spider sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So almost before they arrive, I'm just like, National Gallery, because they always want the National Gallery. Or one guy came up, and he was French, and he asked me where...
National.
No, what was it? What's it called? Oh, he
Gherkin.
No, he said, excuse me, do you know the church? And I was like, the church? And he said, Notre Dame. And I was like, Notre Dame? He says, yes, where? And I said, the famous place in France. And he's like, no. And he taught me a lesson. There is, near Leicester Square, a Notre Dame church.
Yeah.
But I had no idea. So it's the one time I failed.
He's
but
going
now,
to every Notre Dame church
that's
in
what
the
he's
world.
doing. It's a very early 2000s idea.
I had a thing in the one book I wrote. I only wrote one book.
Tiny Acts of Rebellion by Rich Fulcher.
But one of them there, and some of them were a little bit mean.
I'm doing it now.
Yes,
do you know
you're
what I'm
flicking
doing?
me off.
Yeah, that was one of the things you had to do in his mean-spirited book.
Yeah, one of the mean things I had was, if somebody, like a tourist, goes and asks you directions, you deliberately give the wrong directions. God. I know.
It's the opposite of the book I wrote, Random Acts of Kindness. It's like they should be companion. They cancel each other out.
See, what happened? I read your book and I go,
wrong.
No!
wrong. Yeah, you essentially cancelled my book out. I put some good into the world.
I'm sorry.
Karma was you.
Now, instead, I wish more people would ask me about blank.
Where Notre Dame church is in London, because now I know. And I would look so knowledgeable.
Now
Notre Dame, no, you're not the only one in
you.
France, no, because there is one around the corner.
Because you've got a reputation now, don't
Hell of a
ask.
reputation,
Yeah. Blank, blank, and blank.
I would say that's one of the harder ones.
I know.
Curry, chips, and a lovely bap.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's not something I
Very
have on my coat of
musical.
arms. Yes, there was a certain rhythm to it.
This is the last question.
Okay.
I promise. Blank is my biggest addiction right now.
Oh, well, there's lots of ways to go with this. There's searing honesty. There's playfulness.
That's like in an interview when they say, "What's your biggest weakness?"
Yes, probably my sense of right.
Yeah, you switch it around. Yeah.
My greatest addiction right now. Goodness me, that's difficult.
Can be
What's
anything.
What's
It could be
yours?
Grand Theft Auto. Mine is going down the wormhole
Oh yeah,
on YouTube or the internet.
Yes. I
That's
do
my
that.
biggest.
I do that sometimes when my. I'll say clicky tap then.
Okay.
Clicky tap.
Yeah.
That's what. No, is that what we call it?
You can't.
No, drinky tap. That's
the drinking game.
No, it's just a word that came about if my wife is going to bed early and I don't want to.
Drinky tap.
So I'm going to do some drinky tap, where I just have a glass of wine.
You don't even have time to say it. Drinky tap.
Yeah, and that's where I sit there and look at the computer until 2 in the morning. In a nice way.
Yeah. Blank, and dinky tap.
Drinky tap. Not dinky tap. It's a whole other
What
thing.
am I thinking? Anyway, this is what I propose to you because this has been so comprehensive. At another time, will you come back and we can finish the rest?
I would
of
love
your
to.
Lifetime.
Yeah. Or even
Okay.
just talk nonsense.
Yeah. So thanks, Danny.
Thank you, Rich.
This is it.
Thank you to John Pigeon.
Yeah, John Pigeon.
to see you.
He's not up yet.
He's not.
This is a problem. Thanks, Danny.
Thank you. And thanks, Kenny.
Okay. So that was Danny. So much that we're going to have a part 2 to that. We got to have at least a part 2. So listen, if you want to subscribe, here's the info. Otherwise, I'll just shut up. Yeah. Good night.
Rich Fulcher's TalkBox.